Thank you. May we take our seats? Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we welcome the Right Honorable Prime Minister who has joined us to come and be part of this important engagement, and that shows really the importance she attaches to tourism as an industry, tourism as a growing industry. May I also say she's an investor in the tourism industry, so her skin is in the tourism industry. Thank you so much for investing in tourism and believing in tourism. Right Honorable Prime Minister, allow me to introduce the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Colonel Tom Butime. Thank you so much for being with us here, and he leads the sector in all its development, especially from the Sectoral Committee on Tourism and Trade. Honorable Lobo, you're most welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. And Honorable Indakasi, again, most welcome once again for being with us. May I also recognize Honorable Biakatonda Abdu. Thank you so much for being with us today. The number of distinguished guests who we will recognize at an appropriate time, at an opportune time, but given the time limitations that we do have, I know the whole tourism fraternity is with us here. The agencies of the Ministry of Tourism are with us. The associations that form the private sector are with us, and all members of the program of tourism are with us today. More importantly, also we recognize the members of the Fourth Estate, the media. Thank you so much for being with us and covering this. The development partners who are with us here, again, the program review. What have we been able to achieve? Where have we managed to implement and make an impact, not only on the economic growth of this country, but also on society and the community. Definitely, this is a good time for tourism. Everybody is talking about tourism, and thank you for government recognizing the importance of tourism and really placing it among the ATMs that will deliver the tenfold growth. The challenge for tourism is even greater. We have to do the 25-fold growth, and we definitely rely on your support as leader of government business to make this all possible. Right Honorable Prime Minister, we do have a packed agenda, and I'm sure you may not have all the time to be part of that discussion, but may I consult a little bit whether we can have the presentation of our report before we now proceed to have your remarks. And in that respect, allow me to invite our Director for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Dr. Basil Ajer, to please come and provide that presentation. Doctor, you're most welcome.
But we shall also look through performance through the LDP 3 period. Next slide. Physical performance. Then to the extent to which we have implemented of the tourism development.
And agencies review of relevant documents, that is an improvement of the Middle East countries actually doing remarkably very past the 2019 is actually doing remarkably very past the 2019 figures actually only tourism, because the countries in those regions have collaborated and they're promoting the destination as a cluster. They work collaboratively and have recently attracted many international events. We are aware that there was Dubai 2020, which brought so many visitors. We know that there was World Cup in Qatar. And we also know that now Saudi Arabia is positioned to host the 2034 World Cup. And besides that, there's a lot of investment in infrastructure. So it attracts so many visitors. So that's why the Middle East actually is doing very well compared to the rest of the visitors. So that's why the Middle East actually is doing very well compared to the rest of the regions. And 42% of these travel to North Africa alone, and the rest was for the rest of the continent. So again, when you look at the North African, Egypt, Tunisia, those countries have also heavily invested. International Tunisia, those countries have also heavily invested. International % when you compare to 2023, because in 2023 the international arrivals was 1,200. So there's an increment, there's progress, but we have not yet reached the 2019 figures, which was about 1.4 million visitors, although we are closely getting there. Next slide. Majority of the tourists who came to Uganda are from India, UK, USA, Germany, and other countries. But you see that only 10% are from African countries. So there's need to work a lot more to attract the overseas visitors. These are people who spend more money when they're in the country. 4 billion, we got about 10,000 visitors. So there's need to work a lot more to see that we get 4 billion, we got about 10,000 visitors. So there's need to work a lot more to see that we get many visitors coming from overseas. Next slide. Now the tourists that came, what is the purpose for their visit? When they come to Uganda, what are they coming to do? A good percentage of the visitors come to visit friends and relatives. That constitute about 29%, majority of the visitors. The primary purpose of traveling first is to visit friends and relatives, then later on they involve in other tourism activities. But the leisure tourists, there's a remarkable increase in the percentage of leisure tourists. 2023 it was 16%, and 2024 they rose to 19%. When you heard the marketing person talking here, he was emphasizing value over volume, and we should be interested so much on the leisure tourists. These are people who come and they spend more. On average per day they spend about $160, but the rest of the tourists, foreign tourists, spend about $125 per day. Overall, when a leisure tourist stays in Uganda, the average spending is about $2,100 US, but the rest of tourists spend about $950. So we need to concentrate more and see that we increase the number of leisure tourists and also reduce the number of people who come to visit friends and relatives. Uganda tourism earnings in 2024 grew by 26%. There was an earning of about $1.2 billion, or you can say about 4.8 trillion Uganda shillings. And the growth of 26% is driven by two factors. One is the length of stay. Realize the length of stay has increased to 8.7 nights compared to about 7.6 nights, which was in 2023. And two, also the average spending per tourist per day has increased from 110 to 125 US. So it's important to improve on length of stay and amount of money spent by the tourists. And for you to get more money spent means you have to diversify the products and improve on accessibility. So that table there is showing you the length of stay. It was about 8.3 nights in 2019, but now we have surpassed that target. It's about 8.7 nights. So when you increase the length of stay and average spending per day, then that improves on the earnings. Next. Contribution to GDP and employment. These are very important indicators which is tracked, at least at macro level. In 2019, 2025 is 5.9%. But if you look at actual figures, tourism contributed about 11.8 trillion to GDP in 2019. But in 2024, about 12.1. But contribution to GDP overall is 5.7%. This is attributed to the growth in the economy. So you contribute more in terms of shillings or value, but the economy has also grown in terms of percentage. It may be seen to decline. Next slide. And when you look at domestic tourists, we saw a remarkable increase in the number of Ugandans, or the resident visitors who are in Uganda. It grew from 2.6 million to 2.8 million visitors who have visited different parks and different tourism centers. This is good, The night spent by domestic tourists is about 6.3 nights. An average spending per tourist is about 65,000 Uganda shillings. So there should be a lot of concentration on inbound tourists, because if you look at the length of stay or the nights and the average spend, you find that there's a big difference. But overall, you see that the number of the domestic tourists going to different sites has greatly increased. Again, domestic tourists still go to about 13%, and the rest, the key attraction sites we're looking at OWEC. There's a decline. Last year was 619,000 in 2023, but 2024 it declined to 531. There was also a decline on the number of tourists who visited the museum and source of the Nile. You see the decline in the three sites is attributed to the construction work which is taking place. Which you go to source of the Nile, there's work. The museum now has restricted entry because there's construction work, and also the same applies to OWEC. OWEC is undergoing construction. All these are efforts being done by the ministry and agencies to improve on the quality of service and improve the products. But in national parks, you see that there's a remarkable increase. The number of visitors who went to national park increased by 12%, increasing from 387,000 to 436,000 visitors. So this is a good improvement. And the decline, yeah, that's already mentioned. Decline towards selected sites was due to control access. Next slide. Another indicator that we track very closely is hotel occupancy, because when our visitors come, at least they want to have decent room or decent accommodation. The average occupancy stood at about 53.2%, and obviously Kampala registered the highest number of occupancy, standing at 68.3%. Eastern Uganda and Northern Uganda did not do very well. But again, all went above 52%. So hotel occupancy stood at around 53, and you'll appreciate that even the number of hotel rooms have increased slightly above 350,000. Let's move to the next slide. Slightly above 350,000, and they are about 371,000 beds, meaning they are rooms which are having 2 beds. We are not doing so well in terms of star rating of hotels. Only about 127 hotels are rated countrywide, and out of those, there are 5-star hotels. All the 5-star hotels are located in Kampala. There's no single 5-star hotel outside Kampala. But of course, when you go to hoteliers, we go to up-country, they say this is 5-star, but by standards and international standards, all the 5-star hotels are located in Kampala, and only a few 4-star, 17 were rated. We want to encourage private sector members who are here, and of course UTB, to give a lot of emphasis in rating hotels, because this also improves on quality and standards and confidence of our visitors who are coming when the hotels are rated. Next. We are also promoting MICE tourism, which is meeting, incentive, conference, and events. In terms of MICE tourism, Uganda hosted high-profile conferences in the year 2024 and 2025. There was Mother's Day celebration. We had Nyege Nyege Festival. We have Pearl of Africa, Poate. All these are major events that brought many tourists. And as you see, Poate of Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo 2025 brought up to 101 hosted buyers. It attracted 2,615 different guests. There were farm trips, there were exhibitions, and many visitors came from different countries. And these are high-profile international events that helps to market Uganda. In Mother's Day, there were over 800,000 tourists. We can also call them pilgrims. On average, they spent about 3.5 nights staying there. But most importantly is that 15% of the pilgrims that came during Mother's Day were foreigners, came from different countries, actually from 15 different countries to come to celebrate the Martyrs' Day. And average spending was about 100,000. So it's important to improve some of these events. Martyrs' Day shows us that a country has a huge potential to promote faith-based tourism. There are many other events that we can organize and will bring many visitors into Uganda. We have really attracted about 26,000 visitors coming from 30 different countries. And you see that the spending was about 6.6 billion. But the impact on local economy was significant because majority of the participants in Nyegnyeri were young adults, 18 to 34 years. Hotel occupancy in Jinja and surrounding districts increased from 46 to 83%, and the prices increased by 204%, indicating that there is need to invest more in infrastructure that supports such activities, because when you get numbers, they need where to go and reside in. Next slide. Now we are going to financial performance of the program. Our chief guest, you'll notice that the NDAs which are implementing the tourism development program are listed there, and the approved budget for 2024 increased by 57%, by 57 billion. Here we want to thank government. There has been a progressive increase in the funding of the tourism sector, because it rose from 258 billion to 316 billion. Now this is a positive increase. The 2025-2026 budget rose actually up to now 430 billion. So there's a progressive increase in the funding of the sector. But also want to bring to the attention of members that the sector is working hard to generate a non-tax revenue. Up to 181 billion was generated by Uganda Wildlife Authority and was spent at source in the reporting period. Now, in terms of the sub-programs, I mentioned that the program that we implement is the Tourism Development Program. The Tourism Development Program has 3 sub-programs. It has marketing and promotion, it has infrastructure, product development and conservation, and land regulation and skills development. Now, the 316 billion that I talked of, which was approved in 2024-2025 financial year, 20 billion is for marketing and promotion. 233 is to. I want to make a comparison of the end of the slides. I will talk about this. But the major contributor to this is Uganda Wildlife Authority. But the major contributor to this is Uganda Wildlife Authority, which contributes about 95% of the NTR. You can see from there that the Hotel and Tourism Training College collected about 1.4 billion, Wildlife Research and Training Institute 0.6, OEC, Wildlife Authority collected about 154 billion, and then total is 162. The target was 178, but we achieved 91%. Next. Physical performance, again, NDP 3 targets, this is what we are talking about. So when we are tracking NDP 3, we track at goal, outcome, and output levels. There were 104 different indicators given to the program by NDP 3. So all these indicators were being tracked. Overall performance of the program was 61%, and the 61 indicators were implemented for us to achieve the 61%. It's an increment from the year 2023, which was at 57%. So overall performance, like I mentioned, is 61. In the subsequent slides, I will show how the targets were shown. But I want again to remind us that if it is 100%, it is achieved. If it is between 70%, so improvement in wildlife ecosystem, contribution to jobs or assisting, contribution to jobs or slide. Some level, our performance was about 46 level. Our performance was about 46%, because under 50% on employment. because and 50% on employment, then compliance was also 50%, bringing the average to 46. The target in NDP3 was that tourism should generate 1.8 billion US dollars. Like I already mentioned, now is spending about 2,100 US dollars per visit. That was achieved 6%, but that was achieved because the local tourists 100 US dollars per visit. That was achieved 6%, but that was achieved up to 82%. Number of directs was targeted at 9, but only 15, but 2.79 is achieved. Mentioned that directly achieved. Proposal of leisure tourists to total tourists. The target was 20.1%. We achieved 19.2, moderately achieved. I want to emphasize that the issue of leisure tourists is important. If we can get leisure tourists, 1, they stay long, 2, they spend more. Next. To rest a little bit from statistics, I think we should look at those very nice infrastructure development that we are doing at the sector to improve on your experience, because ultimately when you visit source of the Nile, please let us rest a little bit from statistics for another 1 minute. Yes, when you go to Jinja, that is source of, so there's a lot of improvement which is happening at source of the Nile. So we hope that in the short time, our chief guest outcome level performance, when you're looking at and antelopes, but the number of lions, mountain gorillas, moderately achieved. Next. Increased employment of job creation is another area that was tracked. Contribution of tourism to total jobs. The target was 8.5. It is actual achievement is to come, output and goal. At output level, At output level, the performance was at 65%. Overall, when you get the average. Next slide. Key performance highlights. Areas where we did well. I don't want to labor now on the marketing strategy. The UTB gentleman was here, and adequately explain the strategy that we have in terms of mention this, and there was Karamoja Festival, Attacker this, and there was Karamoja Festival, Attacker Festival, Telugi, and many. I'm not reading one by one. You can see that up to 8 billion was disbursed to local governments. This is a big one. The local or the communities which is neighboring protected areas are given what is called the revenue sharing. So up to about 8.68 billion was given sharing. So up to about 8.68 billion was given to communities surrounding parks. Next, on the destinations. Knows that Uganda Airline flies to London. London 4 times a day. I will be surprised if somebody doesn't. It's one of the expo that we did together with private. You can see Mugabe Palace has been greatly improved. It's trying to promote some of the left that we are trying to do to improve facilities within the sector. Next slide. You can see that Kikorongo Equator Monument has been developed. If you want to climb the Rosori Mountain, the boardwalk, you can see that Kikorongo Equator Monument has been developed. If you want to climb the Rosori Mountain, the boardwalks is constructed there. Wildlife Authority is trying to put regional zoos and Kabalega International Park. That's good progress. Our hotel and tourism training college has significantly actually improved. That's the application hotel, which you see now. It's a 4-star hotel, and we want to manage it professionally so that our students are exposed in the right side. You can see the Wildlife Research and Training College. They have moved out the right human resource that can support the sector. Now their recommendation sector, we have 4 moderately. Next. And in terms of implementing the NRM manifesto, because the NRM government made commitments to the citizen in what will be implemented in tourism sector. Out of 47 commitments, 30 were implemented, which is 65. 12 were initiated, or 64% was implemented. Governance management, I mentioned that there's a tourism development program which is headed by the minister at political level, and then the permanent secretary heads the technical team. And these are the people who deliver the results, and we stand here to present this report on their behalf. We are functioning well as the program. Next, we are aware of the time. A lot of plan for financial year 25-26, which I will not go through. We are going to distribute the report, and in the report you are going to get all the details. Next, and next slide. I want to go to the key issues. Go to the next slide. Key performance issues. There's an inadequate resource for implementation, as already mentioned, NDP3. Advisories, and I request that it remains everybody's job here, both government, private sector, development in key protected areas. I'm happy the ED of OWA is here. He was explaining of the story. We want the tourists to come and stay for long, length of stay and spending. That means we diversify the products. I showed you some of the developments which are taking place. This is an attempt to diversify the product. There's encroachment in wildlife area and cultural sites. Now we are working towards getting titles in all the protected areas and sites. This we hope will help. And then in inadequate staffing and still across, you'll notice that our 2 colleges have now been that they become international centers. Next slide. Human wildlife conflict and security, which is coming. Sometimes we have insecurity. Thank you so much, Doctor, for that very comprehensive report on our performance to the tenfold growth, and thanks to the performance that has been realized. We thank you so much. We had to write because of the time that we do have, but I do believe I did see also Honorable Koluo. Andrew, we would like to recognize him. Thank you. So also have with us. We did see the developments at the Hotel and Tourism Training College. Bwana Kawere is with us here, the principal, and at some point will be Mr. Baluku as well. Thank you so much for being around. Again, we will continue noting whoever is around at an opportune time, but we thank you so much for your presence at this point in time, for being around. Again, we will continue noting whoever is around at an opportune time, but we thank you so much for your presence. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite the Honorable Minister to come and give us his remarks, and thereafter invite our chief guest. Thank you so much.
The Right Honorable Prime Minister, we are pleased to host you at the 3rd Tourism Development Program Review Conference. This year's Annual Tourism Development Program presents a comprehensive analysis of the program's development trajectory, highlighting key trends and achievements and the challenges over NDP3 period, as Director Basil Ajer has been presenting. The Government of Uganda, through Tourism Development Program, has put emphasis on efforts in several aspects targeted towards boosting domestic and inbound tourism. The country has made significant progress in improving infrastructure and connectivity through construction of 250 kilometers of tourism roads, the expansion of Entebbe International Airport, the development of Kabalega International Airport, and preparing to develop the international airport at Kidepo in Karenga district, Karamoja. This growth will significantly increase the accessibility to our tourism products and facilitate an increase in tourism in the country. In addition, for the first time, we now have direct flights to the United Kingdom, thanks to Uganda Airlines. Through our conservation efforts, we have continued to manage over 22 wildlife protected areas and supported 13 wildlife sanctuaries and 4 community conservation areas. Further efforts have been put into developing a wide variety of tourism products across the country to improve on the individual experience and customer satisfaction while visiting the country. Uganda's international tourist arrivals, as Dr. Ajay did indicate, increased to 1.3 million visitors. Of these visitors, over 95% were staying here for at least one night, with the average length of stay increasing to a record 8 to 7 nights. This shows significant increase from the previous year. Our further increase even further. We are now remaining with the 3 months, and the figures should shoot up. A good figure to talk about $3 during their trip. These past 5 years of NDP3 have not been without challenges. The period began in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, which significantly derailed our tourism industry for years, coupled with other limitations, inadequate funding, slow product development, and encroachment on protected and heritage sites, among others, in the modern age. As we look forward to NDP4 period, we are cognizant of the government's prioritization of tourism as a key driver of the economy. Tourism, Right Honorable, is expected to significantly contribute to the country's tenfold growth strategy, which will see our GDP increase from US $50 billion to $500 billion come 2040. We as tourism have been asked to grow our foreign exchange earnings to US $50 billion over the same period. We will achieve this by investing in modern tourism infrastructure, by diversifying and building the capacity of our workforce, while putting in place measures provide quality of stay. I take this opportunity to thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister, and the government of Uganda in general for prioritizing tourism as a key growth program for our country. I equally extend my appreciation to development partners, the United Nations Development Programme, European Union, the World Bank, and many others, tourism private sector players, civil society organizations, hoteliers, the academia, the UN Economic Commission for Africa. Those people have a lot of studies and findings, and they really help us in conferences like this one, among others, for their immense contributions in tourism development in Uganda. I recognize the great work of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, of the Ministry, TC, Uganda Wildlife Research Training Institute, the new botanical gardens. All of those institutions have greatly contributed towards the success of this particular conference and the ministry in general. And I thank the staff of the ministry for organizing this very, very important function. I encourage everybody in the country, all responsible, all participants in the sector, to strive towards building a stronger, more vibrant industry in Uganda. Asante kabisa. Sasa nimuombe waziri mkuu aje aongea. Asanteni sana.
Honorable Minister. The Honorable Minister of Tourism, Life and Equities, Honorable Tom Botine, the Honorable Members of Parliament, members of the diplomatic corps, our development partners, the Permanent Secretary, Executive Directors, the Chief Executive Officers, members of the Tourism Development Program Working Group, all participants, I mean delegates, ladies and gentlemen, allow me at this material time to bring you warm greetings from His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda. I thank you for inviting me to this tourism program performance review, where government is providing accountability on critical achievements in the sector. As you have seen, the ministry is doing quite very well. By all standards, the officer informed us that their performance now is at 64, and already other programs to a rate of 18% are ongoing, which means by the end of the term, the ministry will have achieved over 80%. And to me, that's a distinction, isn't it? As you're already aware, this conference is among others, will among others discuss the performance of the tourism program during the NDP period. It will examine the bottlenecks, major challenges, and generate practical recommendations and lessons for the next financial year and medium-term focus as we transition to NDP 4. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, this review meeting is timely and aligned with the government's goal of positioning Uganda as a preferred tourism destination. The government of Uganda has embraced tourism development as an inclusive sector with huge potential for job creation and income generation, especially as we focus on rural areas. There is significant focus on decentralization of tourism development through increased participation of local governments and ensuring that actors in rural areas access services and technical support easily. I'm one of those actors, like they have already told you. Yes, deep there in Kakumiro, we are also struggling. Tourism has the biggest comparative advantage and is an area that generates huge and faster results regarding the growth of Uganda's economy. The tourism industry is, therefore, a vital component of Uganda's economy, and its growth and development is crucial for our country's prosperity. And as a result, we have ensured that NDP4 focuses on addressing the obstacles to tourism development. The plan deliberately directs public investments in the areas that will improve the enabling environment for tourism business to flourish. Ladies and gentlemen, efforts are underway to fast track the development of tourism roads, aerodromes, and expand internet coverage, water transport, and the railway. We have sufficiently invested in the various regions to ensure that the regional cities become tourism hubs and have what it takes to facilitate tourism. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, the NRM government is aware that the tourism industry's potential can only be fully tapped if we comprehensively deliver on all the objectives of the tourism development program, namely marketing domestically and internationally, improving tourism infrastructure, like I've already told you, developing competitive tourism, deploying skilled personnel along the tourism value chain, and ensuring that we have high quality tourism services. I know you all know of the government's target to grow the economy tenfold within the 15 years from the current GDP of about 60 billion to 40. Tourism is a key sector in the tenfold strategy. I therefore employ the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, working together objectives of the tourism development program in order to open up the above opportunities. As I conclude, allow me to congratulate the Ministry of Tourism and the other MDS and the private sector players under the able leadership of our Minister for striving to promote Uganda as a preferred destination. I can never forget when we were struggling to get the Entebbe Botanical Beach. Do you remember? But it is doing very well. I congratulate you. And so on behalf of government, I pray supporting the sector and of course through funding. We cannot say you can do anything without money. Ladies and gentlemen, the third annual Tourism Development Program Performance Review Conference of 2025. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Right Honorable Prime Minister, is it possible to have a photo moment? The Honorable Minister is with us here. I think here it's possible here, up here. Right Honorable, wano bajja tulaba bulungi nga tuli waggulu wano. Yes. May I invite honorable members to join us, heads of executives, our development partners, in the photo opportunity. with the Right Honorable Prime Minister. So, Dr. Rosa nange kambere kumpimpi wano. Thank you so much. The Right Honorable Prime Minister will be taking leave. Is being escorted by our Honorable Minister. We may remain seated. May I invite the men in the machines, the DJs, to give us a small interlude as we rearrange ourselves to continue with the program. We thank you once again and thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister for having officially opened this event. May we allow a very small interlude and then continue with our program. Thank you.